Alright, I need a guy and a girl. We're doing guy versus girls tonight. You're gonna stand by that light post. You're gonna stand by that light post. This is your piece of bread. It has peanut butter on it, which in hindsight is a bad idea. This is your piece of bread. You got the heel. That gun. Now, that's your ping pong ball. This is your ping pong ball. You have to get your ping pong ball to stick on the piece of bread. You on the front row. All of you. Do not let a ping pong ball go past you with peanut butter on it. Beverly, are you here? Beverly? You got a minute. Seth, we got our timer? Yeah, every week, a minute, man. Go!
Still hers, no, still hers. Here.
It's the same ping pong ball. He just politely. Oh no, this is yours. I'm sorry, I seem to mistakenly grab your ping pong ball. The ping pong ball to stick to the piece of bread. Put 8 seconds on the clock, Steph. Well, 10 seconds works too.
Go, go, go!
Time! No! No, it doesn't count. Go! I thought she was going to make it first. Time! Come on, Jacob. It's not my game. Go! Come on, the buzzer. I thought you were going to do it. Go! First week of school, a lot going on. I was talking to a student the other day. Going to a new school, new place. And I didn't want him to be nervous. So the verse that God brought to mind is in Joshua. It says, be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. A lot of you in this room are in a new place this year. You got new classes, new teachers. You're in a whole new building. And it can seem overwhelming. I mean, I know that we're 3 days in, but at this point, you're probably not digging it very much. Some of you haven't done any of that. In the same building, around the same people, doing the same sort of stuff. feel like God's word for you tonight is to be strong and courageous. I feel like everybody's supposed to be strong and courageous. I'm a huge believer that God puts you where you are for a reason. That you were born to the parents you were born to for a reason. That you go to the school that you go to for a reason. That you have the friends that you have for a reason. That you play sports with the people that you play sports with for a reason. And when I first got here, somebody asked me, how do we know what our calling is in junior high and in high school? And my question to them was, do you know people that don't know Jesus? Do you know people that say they know Jesus but don't live like they know Jesus? That's what you're called to. So I believe your word for tonight, what you need to meditate on and focus on right now, is being strong and courageous. Being strong in your faith and courageous to live it out in front of other people. Being strong with your faith and being courageous enough to live it out in front of other people, no matter what it means. No matter whether or not it means losing friends or people thinking you're weird or having some kind of label put on you. It's to be strong and courageous. Just take a minute or two to ask God to help you be strong and courageous. Being in a new place, you've got legitimate fears. Lift those fears up to God. Say, God, this scares me. I don't like it. It makes me nervous. It's new, and I'm having a hard time dealing with the change. Give me comfort. Give me peace. Or for those of you who are at the same place, around the same people, doing the same things, don't let this be another year where you go through the motions. Let this be the year that you are strong and courageous. Holy Spirit, thank you for these students. My prayer for them is that they would be strong and courageous. That for those who are just afraid of change and newness that they're going through this year, God, give them peace and comfort for that. But let everyone in this room remember and understand that you have them where you have them for a reason. They know who they know for a reason. Let them be bold and courageous with their faith. Prepare us for your words, my child. Let me be bold and courageous in speaking. Let it settle on the hearts of the students that need to hear it. Let it change lives, God. Because only your word can do that. Do what only you can do. In your name I pray. Amen. If you got your Bible, grab it. Go to John chapter 6. We're going to be in John chapter 6. If you don't have a Bible to call your own that you can bring with you, please let me know. I would love to get you a Bible that you can bring with you and look at these verses with us every week. I would love to do that. Just let me know. We're in our series right now called God with Us. We're talking about Jesus' miracles. We're looking at Jesus' miracles, and we're seeing how Jesus showed through his miracles that he is God, that he came to be with us. And so far we've looked at how he's turned water into wine. We've seen him heal a person miles away from him with just a word. And we've seen him heal a man who's been paralyzed for 38 years. But tonight what we're going to do is we're going to look at Jesus' most famous miracle, and that is the feeding of the 5,000. Feeding of the 5,000, okay? What we're going to see through this miracle is that Jesus is going to show us that He satisfies our hunger. That's your first blank. Jesus satisfies our hunger. I don't know if you've ever been like really, really hungry, and then you're like, man, I know exactly what I want, and then you go and you order it, and like you're just excited about it. Like you're hungry and you know what you want, and excited about it, and then you go and you get it, and you're like, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna enjoy every single bite of it, but then you eat it, and it's just not what you want it to be. Like you thought it would be good, you thought it would just blow you away like it has before, and this time it's just like not the best. That happened to me downstairs earlier. I got a Sonic double cheeseburger and it ended up with onions on it. And I was like, this is not what I wanted it to be. But it also happened to me a couple of weeks ago on a Monday. Once a month on a Monday, all the staff that works here at the church goes out to lunch together. And we went to this little barbecue place that's right down here at the very end of Boone Road, right off of Reynolds or Bryant Parkway or whatever you want to call that. Right before you go over that big bridge, there's a barbecue shop that sits right there. And I'm the type of guy that really, like, I got my spots, I've got my places that I like to go to, and I've got my specific things that I order from those places. Like, Aaron does not branch out, okay? My wife would call me picky. I say I'm simple, okay? Super easy to please, super simple, know exactly what I'm going to get. So I get super bad anxiety when I go to a new place that I've never been before because I don't know what they have. I don't know if what they have is good, and I don't know if I'm going to like it or want to eat it when it shows up. Like, I'm afraid of paying money for something that I'm not going to like and that I'm not going to eat. And so I'm feeling all of this anxiety when we go to this barbecue place, and I made the mistake of being a third person in line. So it's like all 9 of us on staff are in line at this barbecue place, and then there's other people who are there on their lunch break trying to eat, and I'm just at the counter and doing this, like looking up at the big menu. And I've been there for a while, and the lady behind the register is doing that thing where she's like putting pressure on you by like staring a hole into your chest. She's like, I need you to hurry up, there's more people, you know. I can feel all that. I have anxiety, so I'm trying to pick really fast, what look good, whatever. And so I did the same thing I did today. I got a double cheeseburger because it's hard to go wrong with a double cheeseburger, right? I got a double cheeseburger with mayonnaise and some Cajun fries. Love Cajun fries, right? So I'm super jazzed about it at this point. Like, no, I've never been here, but it's hard to mess up a burger. It's hard to mess up Cajun fries. I go and I sit down, and they bring it to me, and it looks delicious. Like, Cajun fries look great, the burger looks great, and I eat it. I eat all of it, and when I'm done, I'm just not, it just didn't hit the spot. Like, I was full, and it was good. It's not like it was bad. It's not like it was undercooked or overcooked or they messed something up. Like, that's not what happened. It just like, it was just all right, you know. It didn't satisfy me. It just wasn't what I wanted it to be. And that's what I said. I leaned back in my chair, and Chad was like, well, did you like it? And I was like, this wasn't what I wanted it to be. We've all experienced something like that, right? We've gone out to get food, even food that we know that we'll like. We're like, yes, it's going to be great. I'm going to enjoy every bite. And then you get it, and it's not really what you want it to be. For one reason or another, it's just not what you want it to be. We've been left disappointed, right? Like, we're full, but we're not satisfied. We've had other things like that happen to us as well. Like, maybe we're just really looking forward to go hanging out with our friends. Like, we haven't seen them in a while, or it's been a rough week, or it's been a rough day, and we're like, yes, I finally get to be around my friends. We're going to hang out. We're going to have so much fun. And then you get there, and it's just not like what you want it to be. Or you're going to do something for the person that you're dating, and it's going to be super special, and you're so excited about it, and then you do the thing, and it's just not what you want it to be. They don't give you the reaction that you want. You know, or it's like, we just all had the first day of school, right? Like, you got the first day of school, and you're like, man, I'm going to see people that I haven't seen all summer long. I'm going to see people that, you know, have been missing because of COVID or whatever. And then you get there, and it's just not what you want it to be. They're not and they don't have the same lunch as you, or they're not in all the classes you want them to be in, or anything. And it's kind of disappointing. Like, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great either. And that's what you wanted it to be. You wanted it to be great. So you're full, but you're not satisfied. You had a hunger for what you wanted, and what you got just didn't do it for you. But what that should tell you is that really what you thought you wanted isn't what you really need. Or that what you're hungry for is something that is beyond this world. That's why we have those feelings. When we so look forward to something and we're let down by it. It's an indicator that what we really want, what we're really hungry for, is something that goes beyond this world. Not that we chose the wrong thing on the menu or that it was bad or whatever, but it points to the fact that we're not even looking at the right thing. And that we need to change it up if we're going to get what we really want. That's what Jesus is going to show us through his miracle tonight. He's going to show us that he is God, that he came to be with us, and that he wants us to not have to go through that again. He wants us to be satisfied. So John chapter 6, if you're not there, we're going to be in verse 1. This is the only miracle that is in all four Gospels. It's the only miracle of all Jesus' miracles that appears in all four Gospels. Okay? And if you read it in the book of John, he jumps from healing the man at the pool, like we talked about last week, right into this miracle. But the reason it's in all four Gospels is it gives us a little bit more detail into what's going on. And so to really get the timeline down, you have to read the other four Gospels. And so what happens between the healing at the pool and this miracle here is Jesus continues to go and travel around with his disciples. He's teaching in the temple. He's doing more miracles. He's healing sick people. They're traveling and teaching and healing day and night. They do that for a while, and then he gets all of the disciples around him, not just the 12 disciples, but he had another group of disciples that we call the 72. And so he calls all of them to him, and he gives them a charge. He says, I want you to go around to all these cities and villages around us, and I want you to preach the gospel. And so he sends them out, and they're gone for a while, and they finally come back. And Jesus, while they're gone, is still preaching and teaching and healing. And so they're traveling, they're teaching, they're doing all this stuff, and then they finally get back to Jesus, and he gets news that his cousin and his best friend, John the Baptist, has had his head cut off by King Herod. So imagine doing all of that for days, weeks, months on end. You're constantly around people, constantly teaching, constantly traveling, got to walk everywhere. And at the very end of it, when you're just as physically exhausted as you can be, you find out that someone that you love and care for dearly has had their head cut off by a person in power. Physically and emotionally drained. That's the point that Jesus and his disciples are at when this miracle takes place. They all come back to Jesus, and Jesus says, "Oh, we're worn out. We're beat. We've got a lot going on. We need to go get away for a while." So they get in this boat. They start to head out, and this is what happens. John chapter 6, verse 1. After this, Jesus crossed over the far side of the Sea of Galilee, also known as the Sea of Tiberias. A huge crowd kept following him wherever he went because they saw his miraculous signs as he healed the sick. Then Jesus climbed a hill and sat down with his disciples around him. It was nearly time for the Jewish Passover celebration. Jesus soon saw a crowd of people coming to look for him. Turning to Philip, he asked, "Where can we buy bread to feed all these people?" He was testing Philip, for he already knew what he was going to do. Philip replied, "Even if we worked for months, we wouldn't have enough money to feed them." Then Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, spoke up. "There's a young boy here with 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what good is that with this huge crowd?" Okay, so Jesus and his disciples get in the boat. They're trying to get away from everybody. They're sailing across the Sea of Galilee. And again, if you read the other Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and you read this story, you see that what happens is the people that Jesus and his disciples are trying to get away from, the people that need them and want to be around them, to be healed or whatever, see them take off across this sea. And they're sailing towards the far shore. And so they look at the boat, and they look at the other side, and they go, "Oh, that's where they're going." And they run around the bank. They take off in a dead sprint, and they cover 8 miles. These cross-country guys in here ain't got nobody on a sick and lame person who wants to be around Jesus, okay? They cover 8 miles and end up at the other side before Jesus, sailing in a boat, can make it there with his disciples. And so Jesus rolls up, and he lands where he's trying to get rest. And he looks out, and he sees all of these people. And I love what Mark chapter 6 says. If you read Mark chapter 6, that's where this miracle is in Mark. And he says, Jesus saw the huge crowd as he stepped from the boat, and he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things. I love that because that is not my response at all. I've been working in, day out, traveling, teaching. I can't get a moment to myself. Either I'm with my disciples or I'm with sick people that need my help, that they're not just there because they want to hang out. They're there because they need me. They need me to do something for them. When I'm not around those people, I'm arguing with religious leaders in the temple and I'm teaching. Like, if I'm headed on vacation from all of that, and then I show up and the people I'm trying to get away from are there, when I get there, I'm not a happy person. I'm not coming off that boat with a lot of love. My response is not going to be, oh, hey, everybody. It's going to be, why are you here? Please go away. That's my response, right? That's most of our natural response, but that's not Jesus' response. Jesus' response is he looks out onto them with compassion. He's not angry or irritated like we would be. He is heartbroken. He is heartbroken, and so he sits down and he begins to teach them. And as he teaches them, it says in John that the crowds begin to show up. And so what happened is when this group of people took off to run and go meet Jesus where he was going to be on the other side of the Sea of Galilee, is there were some, slower people in that group as well. And so as they're sitting there listening to Jesus teach, the group just continues to grow bigger and bigger and bigger because the slow people are now finally catching up. And so the crowd grows and it grows and it grows. And as it continues to grow, Jesus continues to teach and the day continues to go on and on and on. And it finally gets late in the day. And if you read in the other Gospels, the disciples come to Jesus and they're like, hey man, there's like a ton of people here. It's getting super late. So we should send these people away so that they can find food and a place to sleep for the night. And Jesus' response to them is, in the other Gospels, it's you feed them. And here Jesus says, well, where can we buy bread for all of them? And so if you put those together, what Jesus really says is, where can we buy bread for all these people? You feed them. Jesus isn't wanting to send them away. He's wanting to do it himself. He's wanting the disciples to do it themselves. And he's got two really smart dudes in this crowd. One of them is named Philip. Philip does some really quick math, and he looks at the crowd, and he's like, there's no way we have enough money to feed all these people that are here right now. Like, there's tons of people. He's like, I'm not super great at math, but I can count how many people are here, and I know how much money we have, and that's not a good match. And then Andrew, who's a little bit more observant, is like, oh, hey, we got this kid here with a basket. I bet it's got food in it. But then he's like, oh, wait, that's silly. Definitely not enough in this basket to feed all of these people. And so their response back to Jesus is, there's no way we can do this. There's no way we can do this. And that's what Jesus wants them to understand. Again, he says right here that he's testing Philip. He asked Philip that question to test him because he already knows what he's going to do. Their immediate response is to go to natural things. We're going to feed these people. We need money. We're going to feed these people. We need food. They go to natural things. They're relying on natural things. They're relying on themselves. They're relying on their own reason. They're relying on their own logic. And quickly they come to the conclusion that that's not going to work. And that's the conclusion that Jesus wants them to be at. Jesus wants them to understand that if the people are going to be fed, if their hunger is going to be satisfied, they're going to have to rely on him. That's next blank. Jesus satisfies our hunger if we rely on him. Jesus satisfies our hunger if we rely on him. Again, it says when Jesus gets out of the boat, he looks on the people with compassion. It says that he sees them as sheep without a shepherd. He sees them as people who are wandering through life without anyone to guide them or take care of them. They don't have anyone to show them where to get water to quench their thirst. He doesn't have anyone to show them, to lead them to green fields of grass to eat. They're just wandering. They're trying to make it up on their own. And so when Jesus gets out of the boat and he sees them, he already knows they're hungry. Jesus already knows that they're hungry, but they're not hungry for physical things. That's why he teaches them first. It's uber important for us to recognize. Jesus sits down to teach them because he knows they're hungry. They're sheep without a shepherd, and they need to be fed. Because what they've been relying on to this point is the same thing that the other disciples were relying on. The logic, the reason, their own self, all these natural things. But Jesus is trying to show them there's nothing natural, no human effort or idea that's going to solve this problem. And so he doesn't want them to rely on that. He wants them to rely on him. He wants the disciples to understand that the people's hunger is going to be satisfied. They have to rely on him. And so to prove it, this is what he does. Look at the next few verses. Verse 10. Tell everyone to sit down, Jesus said. So they all sat down on the grassy slopes. The men alone numbered 5,000. Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks to God, and distributed them to the people. Afterward, he did the same with the fish. And they all ate as much as they wanted. After everyone was full, Jesus told his disciples, now gather the leftovers so that nothing is wasted. So they picked up the pieces and filled 12 baskets with scraps left by the people who had eaten from the 5 barley loaves. Okay, so check this out. Jesus sits everyone down. He hears Andrew's suggestion. He hears Philip's suggestion. He's like, yeah, that's not going to work. So just have everyone sit down. Again, it's Jesus' turn to ignore people. He ignores them. He says, just have everybody sit down. And it says that everyone there numbered about 5,000 men. What you have to understand about the Bible is that when it came to counting things, they did not count women or children, right? So there's 5,000 men there, but there's also women and children in the crowd. So the actual tally of people is about 20,000 people. 20,000 people. That's enough to fill a really good sized college football stadium. It is a ton of people. And Jesus says, have everybody sit down. And in the other Gospels, it says that he organizes them. And so he sits them down in groups of 100, right? So he sits all these people down in groups of 100. He takes the basket that the boy has with the bread and the fish in it and says that he blesses it and he starts to hand it out to his disciples. And so his disciples are taking this stuff and they're handing it out to all these people and they begin to feed all of them with everything that's coming out of this basket. And I read this and I wonder how many food hoggers were in those groups. Anybody ever gone to like a family function where you're going to eat like a holiday dinner or something, like maybe 4th of July, and you know you've got that one family member there that's going to get in front of everybody and take like the majority of the food? If you don't know someone, you're looking at somebody like that. I do that. Okay, I like to eat. I'm a big guy, right? So I read this and I wonder how many of those people are in these groups of 100. It had to have been more than one, right? There's probably a few of them because everybody's got that one person in their family that's going to hog all the food. And I think, man, I wonder how they did all that, how they worked all that out, especially if you got people who are selfish with food. They're there like, no, just give me more, give me more, give me more. Right? They're not thinking about the people around them, all that kind of stuff. But what I love that it says in verse 11 is it says, they ate as much as they wanted. They all ate as much as they wanted. That means that the food hoggers got all the food that they wanted. That means that the people who eat normal amounts of food got as much as they wanted. The people who were on diets and watch their figure ate as much as they wanted. The children that were there got all the food that they wanted. Not anybody went without anything. Verse 12 tells us that they ate until they were full. And so here's what you have to understand about this miracle. Is that when this food is being passed out, it's going so far that people are taking huge portions of it and they're eating it until they literally can't eat any more. Everybody that's there eats until they cannot eat any more food. And then at the end of it, they have leftovers. Here's what makes that a miracle. 20,000 people, and Jesus feeds them with 5 bread and 2 fish, which would have been enough food for just 2 people. And everyone ate as much as they wanted. The reason that's important for us to notice is because that means nobody went without anything. Nobody lacked anything. It's not like the disciples would hand somebody a plate of this stuff and then they would turn around to the children that they got in tow with them and pull off of their plate and give it to them. If they did, the disciples would come back by and refill that plate. Nobody went without. Nobody lacked everything, and they even had leftovers. So Jesus proves through this miracle that he is God by revealing his ability to multiply this food, to make so much from so little. By using his power to do that, he proves that he is God. But he proves that he is God who came to be with us by doing it for the people who were there. Jesus didn't just take the food and multiply it so that he could eat. He didn't take the food and multiply it so that he and his disciples could eat. He multiplied it so that everybody could eat. He multiplied it so that everybody could eat as much as they wanted until they could not eat any more. And that's how he proves that he wants to satisfy our hunger. Because he wants us to be full. Jesus is showing that if we rely on him, we will be satisfied to the full. That's your next point. Jesus satisfies our hunger to the full. When Jesus feeds them this food, he's not just trying to get them through the night. He's not just trying to get them until they can go and find a place to sleep and then find food when they get there. He's not just trying to get them to in the morning when they're going to have to make breakfast. He's not even trying to get them through to lunch the next day. Jesus wants them to understand that if they rely on him, they will always be full. And he multiplies this bread and fish to fill them physically so that they can understand that he can fill them spiritually. He does one to prove the other. He's telling them that he can fill them spiritually, but he feeds them physically to prove it. That's what he's doing here. And he'll say later in John 10:10, I have come to give you life to the full. The reason I'm doing this is to prove to you that I'm going to give you life to the full. He wants to show them that as long as they're with him, they will never be lacking. They'll never be lacking in joy. They'll never be lacking in purpose. They'll never be lacking in strength or in hope or in love or anything else that their heart is hungry for. They may wander around and search the world for things, but nothing is ever going to satisfy them like Jesus can. Anytime they eat from the menu of the world, they'll always come back saying, that wasn't really what I wanted. Jesus is like, you'll always get what you want with me. He's showing them that they hunger for something beyond this world and only he can fill it. And that's what he's trying to show you. He is God. He came to be with you, and he wants to satisfy you to the full. That's what all this means for you. All of you have a hunger that you want satisfied. And your habits point to it. All of you have a hunger that you want satisfied, and your habits point to it. Some people want attention, so they don't stop talking when I'm talking. They want people to notice them. They want to be known. And so what they do is try and gather all of the attention for themselves. They think if a lot of people have their eyes on them, or if they're looking at them, or whatever, that they'll be satisfied. But the truth is, you weren't made to be known by people in this world. You weren't made to be known by people in this room. You were made to be known for someone beyond this world. You have a hunger for something beyond this world, and only Jesus can fill it. I say it every week. I mention dating relationships every week. Some of you, your habits, you're always in someone's DM. Always trying to date someone. Always wanting to date someone. I will say it every week until you understand. Listen, I'm not playing around anymore. I want you to get this so bad. So bad. The reason that you do that is because you want to be loved. You had that hunger within you. I understand that. I was your age. I was there. I know. And what I did was I was like, well, I know well enough that if I don't ask God to give me someone and try and do it on my own, that's probably not going to work out very well. You guys know that. You guys have heard me say it week in and week out. But here's what you don't understand is you think if I just go home and ask God to give me someone, I'll be satisfied because God gave it to me. But let me tell you the truth. God can give you someone so that you won't be lonely and you still won't be satisfied. Why? Because your hunger goes for someone beyond this world. And so you can be with somebody. You can be with somebody that you believe God gave you, and you will never be satisfied because you weren't made to be loved by them. You were made to be loved by God. You'll never be satisfied knowing love from someone else until you know the love that God has for you. You'll never be satisfied with anything that you do in this life. I need people to see me as great. God already sees you as great. You hunger for something beyond this world. I need to have some kind of worth. So I'm going to gather possessions and have nice things so that people will see that I have some kind of worth. But the truth is, you already have worth to someone else, and so you hunger for the worth that is beyond this world. And until you come to know Jesus, you will never be satisfied. Never be filled. That's the good news that's right here. The good news is that Jesus wants you to be satisfied. He doesn't want you to walk away from something and go, that wasn't what I wanted to be. He wants you to walk away from what he gives you and goes, that's exactly what I want. That was more than what I wanted. Pattern. Your habits point to your hunger. But your hunger lies somewhere beyond this world, so you'll never be satisfied trying to fill that hunger here because you're looking at things that were never made to fill you. So if you're going to satisfy your hunger, Jesus is the one that you have to be hungry for. That's your last blank. Jesus is going to satisfy my hunger. He's the one I have to be hungry for. So maybe what you need to do tonight is switch menus. Instead of trying to fill yourself with the things that this world have to offer that will always let you down, that will never fill you up. Instead of going out and pursuing another relationship with someone else, you pursue a relationship with God. Instead of working your hardest to get other people to know you and like you and value you, you find out how much you are known and liked and valued by God. Instead of trying to find your worth in things here, you figure out how much worth you have in God. Instead of going back to your old habits, or just trying to get through until the next time you're hungry. Going back to things that can never satisfy you again. You come to Jesus that will make you be never hungry again. Or maybe you don't know Jesus at all. Maybe what you really need is to have your hunger changed. Maybe you need to have your heart changed. Maybe you're tired of things not being what you want it to be. Jesus is doing the same thing that he did to the crowd. He's looking at you with compassion, heartbroken. Because you're wandering, eating, and you're never full, and he doesn't want that for you. Either way, whatever position you're in, all you have to do is leave your life of begging. Leave your life of searching. Come to Jesus.
He can satisfy your hunger if He's the one that you're hungry for. Let's pray. Here's what we're going to do. What's interesting is in the next few chapters, or the rest of the chapter after that, in John chapter 6, the people show back up the next day and they want more food from Jesus. And they're disappointed when Jesus doesn't give it to them. Because all they're seeking is food. Just fill my belly. There are some of you in here who are like that. Jesus says something very hard to them. He says, I am the bread of life. If you really want to be filled, you're going to have to hunger and thirst for me. They say, this is a hard saying. Who can understand it? Because they're realizing that in order to really get what they want out of life, they're going to have to give up everything for Him. And so they turn away and leave. It's heartbreaking to me, but I'm aware that there are some in here that will do that tonight. My prayer is that you don't, but I know that you will. But I know that there are some of you in here who are genuinely hungry. And you've been trying to fill it. And it's just never been what you wanted it to be. And you want this. You want what I'm talking about. But what breaks my heart even more is the fact that you're going to let people who don't care determine whether or not you go and get what you need. What are they going to think about me? What are they going to say? Are you still going to be my friend? Want to walk away starving again? Do you want to be fed? Do you want to be filled? Do you want to be satisfied? I want you to have the opportunity. I got a slew of adults in here. If you want to talk about something, maybe you've been a Christian for forever and you realize that I've just been asking God to give me things to fill my hunger, but I've never actually hungered for God. You want to talk about it, find an adult and do that. Maybe you just need to sit right where you're at. Instead of standing when we start to worship, you stay right where you are and you just say, God, I'm not going back to that stuff tonight when I leave. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I'm not going back to that stuff. I'm laying this down before you. I'm going to start trying to fill myself with the things of this world. I'm going to start trying to fill myself with you. Maybe you're in here and you just genuinely need Jesus. You want to give your life to Jesus. Because you've given your life to so many other things that have let you down and haven't filled you or satisfied you. Jesus is standing here saying, look, I'll satisfy you to the full. If that's you, I'm going to be standing right over here to your left in that dark area. You can find me. I'd love to talk to you about it. Man, if you're hungry, you know that you hunger for something that this world can't give you, don't leave starving again. Heavenly Father, only you can do this. Only you can give people what they need. And only you can move people to get up and get what they need. Only you can move people to stay where they are and lay down what's not feeding them in front of you. Only you you can change hearts, God, and that's what I'm begging you for tonight. They're hungry tonight, God. Don't let them leave it. Stand up and worship. You can stand up and worship. If you feel like you need to sit and deal with the Lord, you sit and deal with the Lord. If you want to come talk to me or any of the adults, we'll be over here.
You're the breath of every living thing. Everything was made for you. You hold everything together. You hold everything together. Oh, Christ, be the Savior. you to be at the center. Show us how, God. Worthy of every song you could ever sing. Worthy of all the praise we could ever bring. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever sing. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. We live for you. And holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Worthy of every song we could ever sing. Worthy of all the praise we could ever bring. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. And holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation, and I will put my trust in you alone. is no